Welcome to Lagniappe, a KEDM program about issues, events, and people. I'm Jay Curtis. My guest today is ULM Director of Athletic Bands, Alan Parrish. And Alan, we're so glad to have you because you guys have a fantastic event coming up in just literally a couple of weeks. Drum Corps International coming to Malone Stadium. So tell us a little bit about, for somebody who's never heard of this before, what is Drum Corps International to start with?
So if you think about NFL or WNBA or MLB, these professional level sports, think about that quality and caliber, and now apply that to marching band. And so these aren't professionals, but they are students from ages 16 through 22 that devote their entire summers to the pursuit of excellence in marching band competition. And so they tour the country, and they're stopping at ULM on their tour.
So people think about, okay, you really say NFL or high performance athletes, and people go, marching band, high performance athletes, really? How does that actually work?
So a lot of their days for rehearsing start at 6 a.m. and they'll usually rehearse from 6 a.m. through 8 p.m. or later. And a lot of these students that go off for a DCI tour over the summer will lose 20, 30 pounds easily over the course of the summer. So there is a highly athletic component to this because it's fast-paced, they're moving all over the field, and it's exciting. And,
well, they're playing instruments, too, at the same time. So it's not just the fact that they're marching or they're marching in incredible formations and there's a lot of pageantry involved, but they're playing music, they're performing, too, from a music perspective. Mm-hmm. So how does that work for somebody like they audition to groups, right? So they audition during earlier times of the year, and then spend that entire summer traveling and touring and coming to places like Monroe.
And a lot of the corps will actually have B and C level corps for the students that don't make the upper level corps.
So like a double A ball team.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so you'll have Blue Devils A, which usually wins the national championship, or so to speak, then Blue Devils B and Blue Devils C, and there's these groups that all feed the higher level corps.
I never knew they had farm teams. That's amazing.
Yeah, they do.
So when you're talking to somebody in Monroe, maybe somebody who's connected to the music, to music in Northeast Louisiana, to the arts in Northeast Louisiana, why should they buy a ticket and come see this?
If you're passionate about music, and even just a little bit, and you come and watch these groups, just the level of execution is just inspirational. It's hard not to show up to this event and not be inspired. So, and if you don't know anything about marching band or music, it's accessible, and so you can see and feel the music as it's performed.
Well, for somebody who's not familiar with this level of marching competition, what are some of the elements involved? What are some of the things that you think of? Okay, there's a marching band. Okay, so there's a brass section, and there's a wind section, and there's a percussion section, and then there may be some percussion on the sideline. Okay, this takes it to an entirely different level. Let's talk about what is different about a performing corps from maybe a high school or college marching band.
So a lot of college marching bands, their main job is to play music that you're going to hear and you're going to think, yeah, that sounds familiar. I remember hearing that back then. DCI starts with this artistic standpoint where they have a theme or a message that they're trying to say. And they work from that theme. It might be darkness versus light or something like that. And then they'll pick original music and songs that you might be familiar with, and they arrange them or compose them in a way that is very artistic. And so from that, they put drill on the field where they have formations that will kind of suggest or show some of those themes. And they spend their time perfecting that to get a higher score and advance in competition.
And so this competition in Monroe is one of a bunch of different competitions. How does that scoring work toward the big show, the finals?
So all of these corps are, like you said, they're working towards the finals. And when that finals competition is in Indianapolis. And this show will have no bearing on that show other than it's a practice run towards a scoring system. Excuse me. And so when they get to Indianapolis, the top 12 corps in the country, and I believe there's going to be 20 to 25 corps total, those top 12 will be finalist corps. And so from those 12, they'll compete and you'll get a top 3. But this show, these corps are competing against each other, and the judges are DCI certified judges, and so they'll get their scores, and they're constantly trying to advance and improve. And now that could be execution. It could be changing some of the drill on the field. So the show that you see here in Monroe is not going to be the same show you see in Indianapolis, because it's going to constantly be modified and improved to try and achieve a higher score.
So what does seeing a show like this mean to your average middle school or high school band? I was going to say band kid, but a student in a music program here in Northeast Louisiana who has a chance to, instead of driving to Indianapolis, to be able to show up in Malone Stadium and experience one of these shows.
So whenever I was in high school, I remember very distinctly two different wow moments. and the first was watching my college marching band and just seeing that level of execution. And the next one was whenever I saw a drum corps show. It was just another level to have that impact. And with the college marching band, the one I saw was 350, and it had a big impact because of that. These corps are only 140 to 170 members, and a lot of them are more powerful than some of our best college marching bands, just because the level of execution that they're coming onto. And so for the middle school and high school student, I would say that if they want to see what's possible at the highest level and be inspired to achieve more, or just to enjoy themselves, I would recommend that they come to this show.
The Major League of Marching Bands, Drum Corps International, coming to Malone Stadium on July 24th. Show starts at 8 p.m. Alan, for somebody who wants to get tickets, how do they do that?
They can go to just a simple Google search of DCI Monroe. It's the first or second link there. It's dci.org. If you want to see all of the events, dci.org/events. And you can purchase a ticket online. There will be some limited ticket sales the day of, but to avoid lines and for efficiency, I definitely recommend purchasing your ticket in advance.
That's Alan Parrish, ULM Director of Athletic Bands, the DCI Monroe Show, July 24th, Malone Stadium. I'm Jay Curtis with Lagniappe. Be sure to join us and subscribe to our YouTube and listen to Lagniappe on podcast, all podcast channels. This is 90.3 KEDM Public Radio.